Love is all we live for. Love is all we live for. Love is all we live for.
Welcome to the third episode of Bad Relationships. Woo woo! Hear a story about a woman that I'm calling, and this is not a real name, I'm calling her Princess, and you'll see why. Princess is somebody I know who, she's a really accomplished person, really well put together. Her nails are always really nice. She dresses nicely. She's beautiful. She's intelligent. She's a gentle person, very hardworking, highly educated and informed about what's going on, and able to monetize it. So I was just really impressed with her. This is her story. So she was doing internet dating, and she had been on a few dates that she said were sort of nondescript. And then she went out with this guy she met on Match.com, and he was really different, unusual, interesting. She said it was the way he acted.
It wasn't really his looks that were attractive. He had a way of being very focused on you, when you're in his presence, to the point where he kind of made you feel like you were a princess or something.
He was wealthy. He told her he was a billionaire. So she checked him out on Google and confirmed he was who he said he was, from this established family with a lot of money. He would take her on these really high-end dates, which she found intriguing, including flying her places in his plane. He invited her to his mansion with water views in the best neighborhood.
You knew he was successful when you saw his house. You were just kind of like, wow.
At the beginning of the relationship, he insisted that they be monogamous, and he asked her to go to the doctor to get tested to be sure she didn't have any STDs so that they could have unprotected sex. He would stay in constant contact with her via email and text, but he was also really flaky. And he would set up these dates with her and then cancel at the last minute, giving some stupid excuse. So she would keep getting her hopes up, and he would cancel again and again.
I gave him a pass several times when he flaked on me. But then I started just feeling like, oh no, this is just not working. He just didn't have any integrity.
She would break up with him, but she says he would get super needy, and so she would let him back into her life. And she was really a workaholic at the time, very busy, traveling for work, so she didn't complain all that much about how little she got to see him, and she would let him back in, and it would make her feel bad because the situation just wasn't working for her, and he wasn't respecting when she told him she wanted to break it off. This happened a number of times over a period of 4 years, and finally she did manage to break it off with him. About a year after she managed the breakup, she received a strange message on Facebook.
If you have ever dated this person, please know that you were not the only one. He was cheating on you the entire time and blah, blah, blah. I would highly suggest you go get yourself checked out by a doctor.
She emailed the person back, it was a woman, and got on the phone with her and began to hear the story about how this person had found her. What happened was that some woman who had been working with the guy and who also was in a personal relationship with him suspected that he was cheating on her and hired a private investigator who discovered him at his mansion with 2 other women on more than one occasion. Plus there was evidence that he was seeing other women. So this woman who hired the investigator then decided to send postcards anonymously to the women the investigator found.
He sent out these postcards that said, "Is your man with his kids this week? Is he with his parents, or did he go climbing?" The excuses that he used the most.
This man used to invite Princess on these vacations that would last 3 to 6 weeks. She says because he knew that she could never get the time off work. And these were vacations that would cost $30,000 to $60,000, and he would not offer to pay either. So he would go on these trips and then send out these mass emails to detail his travels, these travel logs with photos of him. and he wouldn't BCC anybody. It was a massive list of people on the CC of these emails. So apparently one of the women who had received one of the mysterious postcards did something like an Intellius search on all the CC'd email addresses, found out who all these people were, looked them up on Facebook, and sent them messages. So that's the message that Princess received. And when she called this person,
she said, "Oh yes, I have received back a ton of responses from many, many women." Sounded like 27, just from what we knew. And that's not including when he was out traveling in different locations, because he could fly anywhere he wanted.
What people are going to want to know is how can you keep that many women going?
I know,
How
exactly. Well, he had spreadsheets. One of the women found a spreadsheet in his, like an Excel spreadsheet. There were like 27 names on that spreadsheet. I left my watch over at his house one time. He re-gifted it to one of the other women, you know. It was a nice watch.
Wow.
He would take it and he would re-gift it to one of the other women instead of giving it back to the original person. That's how bad he was. Who would have ever imagined that anybody, number one, would have the stamina and the energy to be dating 27 women at the same time? Number two, I mean, how did he do it? I had sex with him almost every time I was with him, and a lot of other people were too. I'm guessing it was several times a day because he would see different women in the same day.
So all these women who ranged in age from their 30s to 50s met each other at one of their homes and compared notes on this guy. Many of the women considered him to be a predator, that he was intentionally hurting people with his behavior, and some of them felt that he needed to be stopped. He ended up being shamed on an internet site where women went to warn people about bad men, and he was one of the most top commented ever. He had to hire somebody to post positive comments to supersede the negative ones in order to salvage his online reputation. One woman stood by him through the ordeal and ended up marrying him.
A lot of the other women who were involved in this situation have gone on and they're in very positive relationships with other guys. I'm not one of those. If I were to go back, I wouldn't have let him come back. You know, I wouldn't have gone back to him after the first time I broke up with him. That was a stupid mistake. And, you know, usually you break up with somebody for a reason. It's a manipulation if they try to get back together with you. Mm-hmm. I think that is the lesson that, you know, if I had to go back in time, it wouldn't have lasted longer than a year. My gut was telling me something was wrong from the beginning with this guy, but I just ignored it. All the other women that I talked to felt the same way about it. It was pretty darn obvious that something was off. He wasn't normal.
Story?
It's an amazing story. She went with it.
Yeah.
He's rich, he's attractive, he's paying attention to her. Like, what more can a woman want? So there's a red flag. But we went to Rich Table.
Well, what red flag? I mean, that's the thing. You bury the red flag because somebody's taking you flying into really nice restaurants and really exciting dates in their mansion.
There's something about a man really throwing himself at you and saying, I want you. It's amazing to me that in this day and age, someone doesn't know how to BCC.
Well, this happened about 6 years ago.
Still.
Yeah. Yeah, amazing.
The internet was not born yesterday.
Lack of technological prowess, I would say. How old
was this man?
Okay, so I think he's in his 60s now. I don't know exactly how old he was then.
So 50s?
I guess he had charisma, which means,
swag.
You know what? Well, he probably was a sociopath. Or a psychopath.
Somehow sociopaths with money come across as sexy. I know one.
Yeah.
How can you date 27 women?
Right.
And go to sleep at night and wake up and brush your teeth? I give it to him. 27 women at one time. I mean, how long did he carry this on for? A couple of years, it seems.
Well, 4 years with her.
That's pretty significant.
Yeah.
I mean...
And it was still ongoing. And then one of the women married him. Stood by him.
Wow.
Yeah, it was his champion.
Did
Stood
she
by
not
him.
believe any of the other women?
Who knows? I mean, or maybe there was just enough of a reward for her to ignore it. I mean, obviously, the whole thing is about people ignoring
Red
what they know to be
flags.
fact. Yeah, red flags. It's about, maybe it's about gaslighting, yeah, or ignoring red flags, or accepting things that are not really okay with you. You know, and she said also it would make her feel bad every time she would capitulate, every time she would give in to him. Once she broke up with him, she started to feel better about herself.
Something like that could not be unintentional. You don't just, oh, I accidentally dated 27 women at one time.
It's pretty weird.
He orchestrated it. It was premeditated for sure.
It's pretty weird, abnormal behavior.
Yeah. Sociopath.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. That's a great story, Cameron. So to our listeners listening out there, I have no advice.
So stay safe and take care of yourself. And thanks for tuning in.
Bye.
Bye.